we're talking today about branding and marketing, and this is a real important part of our businesses. Did you guys get the assignment email I sent out? Those of you that an accelerator program, did you get that email? Good, good. All right, thought I'd give you that as something to think about as you're working on it. So it's based on a lot of what we cover in this class, so you can build on it from there. And I'll teach this class again, so if you want to repeat it, that's fine. And if people aren't able to make this one, they can make a future one. But let's jump in here and go over this stuff. All right. Oh, what in the world is this? I'm on the wrong slide right now. Oh, I know what I did. Hold on one second. Let's go to this one. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about branding. What does it mean? Some things that I call brand reflectors, brand building phases, and then some branding basics as we'll go on. So we're getting into branding and marketing as we go along in this. And sometimes people confuse branding and marketing, and understandably, because there's a little bit of an overlap. When you look at branding, it looks kind of like this, right? Branding is all these things. It's your name, your voice, your logo, your tagline, expectations, the fonts and colors you use, your personality. All of that is kind of your branding. And marketing is kind of the campaigns, the advertising, the offers, the channels, how you promote it, the media channels, the social media you use, the leads. That's the marketing side of it. So it's interrelated, they overlap, but they're a little distinctly different. What does brand mean though? So brand is, this is my definition, a customer's overall perception of your business. It's your reputation. That's your brand. Every product, every person has a brand. Remember, if you were in my class yesterday, we were networking, we were talking about brand, and the brand is really your reputation, and reputations take a lifetime to build and a moment to ruin, which is the hard part. So big companies work real hard at protecting their brand and not letting people pretend to be their brand and misuse them. One of the common brand confusions that I see out there, I've used PayPal for many, many years and had great success with it. But I mentioned PayPal to some people, and some people just flinch. They're like, "Oh gosh, they're not safe. It's awful." And I understand why they say that, because what happens is there are spoofers, spammers, scammers online that are pretending to be PayPal, and they send out emails to people asking them for their personal information so that they can fix something in their PayPal account, and people fall for it and they get hacked. And it's not PayPal's doing, but people are pretending to be PayPal, and people are unawarely giving them information to verify who they are, and then people go in and hack their PayPal account. So that's a problem that PayPal has, that they have to kind of protect from people presenting as PayPal when they go out. You see that in any number of what they call phishing emails that go out. So if you get a phishing email, you get an email that says they're a certain company, but when you click on the link to check on it, the link goes to some random address. It's not really to that company. And these are bad actors that are out there making bad names for other people to gain for themselves, right? They're trying to get in and hack your account so they can get something for themselves. So that's kind of what brand is. So, you know, there's setting it up and getting people to like it and have a positive perception, and then you have to maintain it by good service and good value, and then make sure people who are, you know, posing as you. No, most of us aren't big enough. We're not gonna have that problem, but the bigger companies fall into that category where they get people pose as them and try to take advantage of it. So that's what I'm talking about, brand, your overall perception of your business. So you get to build this. This is something you build. We're always brand building and always brand maintaining as we go along. So what are some reflectors of your brand? Well, a logo is one thing that can reflect your brand, right? You have a name of your business or your business idea and then a logo. The environment, if you are a brick and mortar place, that becomes your brand. So the environment that you have, Starbucks did a really good job of this, right? They have a coffee shop. Dunkin' Donuts has coffee shops. Deborah, what's the one you said? Hortons. Hortons, right? Those of you up north, you have a Hortons. Those are, what's it called again?
Or is a hockey player. Ex-hockey player.
Yeah.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons. Yeah, Tim Hortons. Yeah, when I was traveling a lot, I'd always make sure I'd stop in the Tim Hortons because they were a good little place. Yeah, but you compare all three of those, right? You've got a Starbucks and a Tim Hortons and a Dunkin' Donuts and then I don't know, there's a lot of other smaller coffee shops, but they all have it off. They all have a store. But what makes them different is the brand. When you walk in there, there's the experience you have in there, the environment that you have in there, and they work hard to do that brand. And especially on franchises, right? You think about McDonald's, they want all their McDonald's to be the same. They want it to be the same. They don't want it to be different every time you go into a different one. Same with all these other franchises. They want to kind of maintain that environment. That's their brand. So you have an environment. You might have some print collateral. You might have signage. You might have packaging. You might have bags that you put things in, how you send things out. If you use Amazon Prime, right, every time you get a box or a bag, they've branded the box or the bag, and they've got Amazon. They even use Amazon Prime tape across their boxes now. So they've got messaging on there. That's their brand. You know, it's an Amazon package. It's not something else. Versus, you know, just a plain box with no tape, no branded tape would not be an Amazon delivery sitting on your porch. So you know that. That's how they do that. A website, if you have a website, that's your brand. Any online advertising you do, any content publishing you do through social media, blogs, vlogs, podcasts, all of that is your brand. The experience, the customer service and sales experience they have. So how easy or hard it is to interact with you and buy and sell from you is part of it. And then if you have employees, your employees reflect your brand as well. That's why a lot of companies use uniforms and that type of thing, or they have a dress code, or they have certain requirements that their employees abide by so that they reflect their brand. My wife was telling me we went to do this dolphin experience yesterday. She wanted to do this thing, so we went to this thing and did a dolphin experience yesterday. And it was this nice. It's a smaller aquarium where they rescue and rehabilitate animals there, and they do a lot of dolphins. It's where what was that dolphin movie with Winter and Hope and all of that? Dolphin Tales, I think, was a movie. That's where it was filmed and all. It's all based on that. So it's not far from where we live. So we went there yesterday. It was this really great experience. And my wife was looking at Yelp reviews today for the aquarium. And evidently there's been some misdoings by the CEO of the company, and he's under investigation for some things. And that, you know, quickly reflects on the brand of that place. But I pointed out to her, I said, you know, that's one bad guy, right? And he made some bad choices. She goes, yeah, but he's a CEO. Yeah, but I'm sure he's going to be gone. They're not going to keep him around if he's doing that. But that does reflect the brand. I mean, he's reflecting the brand because he's the head of the organization, and his bad choices reflect on the organization. But I know I've been in enough businesses and organizations to know that sometimes you have a bad actor, and you know, you get rid of them. They don't really reflect the whole organization. You know, if the organization allows them to maintain and hang around, then that reflects on everybody. But as soon as the board or the leadership realizes what's going on and they take care of it, then you know, that's a good sign. But that's just a point that the staff, the employees reflect on it. All right, any comments, questions on this so far on this? Good. All right.
So
all right. When you look, go ahead.
So you have this list that says these reflect your brand, but what then is your brand? What does that word brand really mean?
Yeah, I'd go back to this. It's the overall perception of your business that somebody would have. It's when you combine all of that together, what do people think about your business, what you're offering them? Right? It's the accumulation of all of those things that comes out. So let's practice it this way. This might help. When you look at these, what do you feel about these brands? Like, let's take Nike first. What words describe your feeling towards that?
I always love that. I can look at that, and that's encouraging. Just do it.
Okay, all right. So they have this byline that they came up with years ago, just do it. Yeah. And they really push that out, and everybody knows that. So look how powerful that word is not on that logo.
Right.
But Michelle knows that means just do it, and it motivates her. So they've done a really good job of their brand saying, hey, that symbol means just do it. So it's a positive thing for her. Okay, good. Anybody else?
Well, the story of Nike is the story in itself.
Yes, right.
I mean, just the name Nike and what it means in what? It's Greek, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
victory. That's what it means.
Right. So the first marathon runner got to the finish line and got to the end of the 26 miles, and he stood there and put his arms up and said, "Nike, victory." And I think he died, sadly, but that's not the important part of the story. But he said victory, and they made a brand out of that, which is great.
So Apple is think different.
Apple? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Think different. Okay. And so you think,
That's what-
okay, so that's what your association is with Apple. Okay, good. How about these other ones? And these other ones, even positive or negative?
Coca-Cola, I want to give the world a Coke.
Okay. Right. Yeah, they're good at creating these feel-good ads that they put out to kind of bring the world together and unite the world in that way. Okay.
I have 5 sons, and Nike was always, to me, just expensive. The kids looked at the brand. They didn't look at the shoe, whether it was soccer or it was football or swimming, whatever we were doing. It was, they wanted a brand. They didn't look for the quality. So I don't have a real good positive feeling about Nike. Sometimes there was good stuff. Sometimes it wasn't. But, when you have that many kids, sports were expensive.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. See? There's stories behind it.
I was going to say that these are huge corporations with bottomless budgets for branding, and they do it well.
Right.
But branding is very expensive for a small business. And hopefully you'll be able to show us ways of doing that fit a small business model.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you're not going to compete with these guys, but you can be very aware and alert to protect your brand so that it does not get tarnished, because you have a lot of control over it going bad, right? If you give them bad service, if you give them a bad experience, then you've hurt your brand, and it's even worse on a smaller scale because you don't have as much equity built up on the positive side yet. So it's really kind of preserving your brand so that it continues to move positively, and that customer service. I mean, customer service is just lacking all over all industries now. It's really missing. We're almost surprised when we get good service anymore.
Yeah.
We used to expect it, and now we're kind of surprised. Oh my goodness, what great service we got. This is great. I think, yeah, there's a scale to it, like you said. Yeah.
My thought about that, Kevin, is that all these brands and even our little individual brands is consistency that really makes the brands. I mean, they've been having these same signs, same words, same everything for years and years and years. A lot of people that start new businesses, they start with one brand, and a year later they change names or change this. But even if us little businesses got one look and kept that same look, basic same message, that's branding in itself in my book.
Right. You're right, absolutely right, Rudy. You're absolutely right. Yeah, we don't do ourselves any favors by changing it every time. Oh, let's try a different color. Let's change this font size. Let's do this over and over again. And a lot of what you want to do as a small business is just get awareness. And so getting it out there in front of people as much as you can is really, really good. When you look at these, let me pause here. I forgot. Ruby, you were going to give us a positive update. We'll pause here a second. You're going to give us an update. So I said I'd let you do that. So go ahead and tell.
Yeah, I always want me to do it now.
Yeah, go ahead before I forget again.
I sent you an email about it because I didn't realize we had the class today. Then I found out we had a class in 15 minutes. I have developed a relationship with Amazon's liaison here, community liaison. She kind of adopted me. We're really friends now. So she was giving me a check-in last week, and she mentioned some business that Amazon was helping out with, and I didn't put anything together. However, one of the participants emailed me and gave me a rundown and sent me the article and stuff. Amazon is funding a project for 10 minority developers, And most of them are in our community, that the communities that I've been talking about, for them to get funds to go to classes, go to workshops, learn how to develop. And most of these are in that business already. But, you know, permitting has been very difficult, and Amazon's going to help them with that. And it's for them to build affordable housing in the community. And, you know, I've worked with 4 of these guys out of the 10. And I've always said that, you know, we want to be able to work with developers, keep our property, develop our property into a little 4-plex or something, if that's what we want to do, or we want to build backyard cottages, or, you know, just develop our property, but we don't want to have to sell it to somebody else outright. We want to just develop it, and, you know, we could share it with a developer, or however they want to do that. And several of those developers have been hearing my rants talking about that for a long time. I've spoken at their, you know, their events, and we've spoken together at other people's events. So they're aware anyway. So they're going to be able to do this. You know, we are going to do the tax fund program, but we don't want to have to help people with their taxes forever. We want them to eventually be able to, you know, do something with their property. This information is helpful to me, because as I ask homeowners to not sell their property, to hold on to it, I have an alternative to tell them, you know, that's coming around. It gives me something to talk to the mayor about, because, you know, Amazon is a big presence here. So when Amazon says something, they jump. And, you know, I just think that a lot of the obstacles that these guys will have now in working with us, helping us redevelop our properties, helping us do, you know, what we want to do to our homes, I think it's going to really help. And Amazon has the funds to help these young developers do that.
Yeah,
so
that's good. That's good. Good news. We're making progress and you're getting their attention. That's good. They're recognizing you. Very good. Thanks for sharing that. We always like to hear good news, the progress people are making. So thanks. Keep it up. Good
Kevin,
job,
I
Ruby.
wanted to, can I
Go
say
ahead.
something?
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to say, I'm looking at the branding of Amazon there. And you know what? I always thought that that was a smile. At least that's the yellow bar there.
Yeah.
But then now I'm looking, it goes from A to Z. And I'm like, wait a minute. So is that, for me, I like purchasing stuff through Amazon. I think it's easy. I think customer service is easy. The options of Prime and all of that stuff. So I'm just wondering if that had anything to do with it, just making it easy for you from A to Z. But I always thought that was a smile. It's just now that I'm looking at it even closer.
Right.
I smile every time the Amazon truck pulls up with stuff for me.
It's probably a double meaning there. You're probably right. Yeah. My favorite 2 logos on here, just like from a logo standpoint, are the 2 that are the simplest, and they don't even have any letters on them. The Nike and the Apple. They have done a fantastic job being very simple, but notice those are the first 2 that any of you mentioned anything about, like without trying to say too much. Where Starbucks has a whole lot going on there. I mean, it's just really complicated, and it's more of a story that they got so much going on in there. And I like the simplicity of just, you know, what's one color and no words, but they've done a great job building up the meaning of what that is. So
yeah, I agree. And Amazon, you know, this is so strange. I can't stand Amazon. My sister, everybody, Amazon. And it's like, are you kidding me? You know, isn't that weird? You know, I think it stands for egotism. It stands for, I have power over all of you. I refuse at all costs to order from them. And I've even internationally posted.
Yeah, about it.
I've even internationally posted. And so, you know, anyway, that's just
Yeah,
I wanted you to see the other side.
right.
A lot
Yeah.
of people hate Amazon up in Seattle. A lot of people, even one politician's been after them forever. But my perception changed during the pandemic. I love Amazon now. They
Feel like a
got me through
convenience.
the pandemic, groceries and everything else. So that
Yeah,
changed me.
that brings to mind, I guess, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Apologies. Were you finished?
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
yes.
oh. I was just going to say the A to Z, actually, what I heard is that the A to Z means that it's everything that they sell. Everything is from A to Z. So you can get anything you want there. But yeah, I have feelings about, it's just kind of funny. I actually use Google a lot, but I have strong feelings about Google too. Not super strong, but I just feel they too much data, too much tracking. They just use it. They use it to make money. They use all your information to make money, and they give you
Exactly.
nice
And they
free
just
tools.
bought,
Yeah.
excuse me for being rude, but they just bought an AI company, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's called Mindbender or Mindbend or one of those. Anyway.
Yeah.
And I realized today, even earlier in the grocery store, because I'm a native San Antonian and we have headquarters for the largest grocer in the state of Texas, HEB. And I realized early this morning, do you realize how much data they have on every shopper? I walked out this morning. I really did. And only because I went to a private school too. And one of their heads of pharmacy at our Ursuline Academy reunion made this wicked comment. I know everything about all your pharmaceuticals. And I thought that was such a smug comment. Of course, it was kosher for that person. But it was, and I thought about that this morning. Look at think about what grocery stores, and then think about Google. Whoa.
Right. So what you guys are sharing points to the fact that goes back to Lynn's question, what is the brand? It's all of that together, right? So we've talked about the practical part, each of these products, like Lynn's thinking back of her voice with this board. It's like, yeah, that was personal impact there because she had to pay more for the brand name. Amazon's got this convenience factor that makes it really easy to buy stuff. But on the bigger end, Amazon and Google are these monopolies that are absolutely absorbing data and taking over things, which is not always good. So there's all of these aspects that are going on. And we don't have all those dynamics in our small business, but it just goes to show that everything we do and everything that's going on builds into that brand for people. And so people see that, and that affects how they think about it for each of those things. So we took the macro view here of all these things, and we want to apply this kind of down to the micro level that we're going to be at. So great discussion on all of that. It's interesting to kind of see how people respond to those things. All right, so let me give you my 3 brand building phases. And the goal of all of this, of building your brand, is to create awareness about your business so that people have so that you create a unique and lasting image, right? You have to stand out, you have to be different in that sense. People typically don't go through all these 3 phases, and it gets them into trouble. They jump to the phase that they like, that's easy, that's interesting to them, and they kind of miss 1 or 2 of the other phases. But let me walk you through kind of each one of these as you go along. I think you should start with strategy first. And strategy, the first phase of strategy is when you think about how you want the world to see your business, right? How do you want to be perceived? What's the, think of the end in mind. What do you want people to think of you as? What do you not want them to think of you as? How will you be different, trustworthy, memorable? How will you be likable to your ideal customer? What's your strategy to do that? And then, your purpose, promises, and how you solve your problems for those people. This becomes that strategy. So you kind of have to know yourself. The strategy starts off with kind of knowing yourself and what you're going to do first. And that's a little bit of what we kind of dug into the last 2 weeks about doing your pitch and your 1-page business plan. It's like, what's your strategy? What's your blueprint for how you're going to be seen in the world? What do you, the problem is if people skip this, they end up inheriting a perception of themselves, and they have to just kind of adjust to what people think about them. a good plan, marketing branding plan, you decide what you want it to be. You work towards that. How do you want to be seen, right? You want to be unique in that. That's why that pitch is, I keep pushing back on that pitch. Pitch is like, what do you give people? How can you let people know what they're going to get from you that's different? And that's what you want to keep building towards and keep building towards and building towards. Because you could say that's what you're going to give them, but if they never really realize that outcome, they're not going to be able to help promote you because they didn't get what they expected from you. It was kind of a bait and switch kind of thing. So this is just, you decide how you want to be viewed. Maybe it's about customer service. Maybe it's the best quality. Maybe it's about the experience. And knowing your ideal customer again, how do you do that for them? How do you make that memorable for them? Okay, so this is the strategy part of what you want them to kind of experience or feel of this based on your purposes and prior promises for them. Okay, that's the first, think of that. The second phase would be now your identity. What most people do is they jump right to this. They just go right to this. Like, I'm starting a business, I need a logo, I need a website. And it's all about that. They're not thinking about how they want that logo or that website to connect with anybody, or what message it's going to have, or what it's going to do to really align with who they are and what they want to accomplish. So after you've kind of got who you want to be in mind, now you start working on the identity part of it. This is any visual messaging experience that's going to point people to align with that strategy, right? If you know your target audience is young children, then you could use young children colors and primary colors and fun fonts and things like that. But if you're more of a professional adult setting, then you don't want to use those kind of fonts. Those aren't the right fonts, right? They're not the right colors for that. So it has to the identity has to match the strategy, right? Rather than just, what do you think is cool for identity without really, and you may not be the ideal customer yourself. So you have to think about what's going to resonate most with the customer that you're trying to reach. This gets into your content and messaging, your advertising, print, packaging, right? Your identity. How do people see you then, right? This is now your public facing material, content, those type of things. And again, most people jump to this and they forget the strategy part of it. So it doesn't always line up and it gets confusing. The third phase is the actual marketing itself, where you're using strategic communication tools to do this. So this could be through your website, using SEO, search engine optimization, content marketing, you're writing content, putting content out on social media, you're doing organic post, or you're paying for ads. Email marketing could be another thing. Maybe your billboards are the thing that you need to do, or you need to be doing public speaking, or you need to be giving away free ebooks, or whatever it may be. This is now that marketing. So you see how they kind of build on each other, but you go back to you have a strategy first, and then you build the identity around that, and then you go out to market with it from there. If you do this in any other order, it gets out of order, and you're kind of shooting at unknown targets in a sense. So phase one, you kind of set the target of what you're going for, and then you align all your identity, all your pieces that you create, and your strategies to communicate them to other people with that strategy. Any questions on those three? Is that
does that number one, the brand strategy, are you all, does that not also involve some kind of thought about marketing?
Yeah, it does. You're thinking about it, but if you think about marketing as the execution of your messaging, that's phase three. But phase one is what is my message, right? What is it that I want to be known as?
Right.
It's the what, not the how.
Okay.
I think the marketing gets more into the how.
At which stage, we are are gonna get business cards and get a logo or a
Yeah.
picture or something on them, at which stage do we figure out what our logo is? Is that strategy or is that the next one, identity?
Well, they all work together, right? So let's say you're thinking about, so like your case, Ruby, you want to be, I mean, you're tackling a serious topic, right? And it's about housing. It's really about a person's home, which is really an important part of anybody's life. And we know, without a home, people don't really do well. They need a home. That's really important for their success in life. And so that's part, I think, of your phase one is you're thinking, okay, those are the key, Ruby needs to be about promoting people having, housing they can afford and stay in and not be kicked out of their housing. Right. That's kind of your strategy. And then you go to your identity, like, well, what's the best way to illustrate that? How do I communicate that with people? Is my business card does my logo have a house on it? Is that, is it about a house? Is there another way to communicate this? Is it about Ruby herself? Is this a Ruby thing? Am I going to promote Ruby only? Or is Ruby just the advocate that's helping people stay in homes and find, protect their housing? Right. So it's my answer is a big yes across all of it, but it's implemented through differently through each stage. Phase one, you're trying to figure out what it is that you really are wanting to have that identity around. Because if the identity is around you as a person, then your business card is going to be about you as a person. If your identity is about housing, then that business card is going to reflect something about housing a little bit more. Right. I mean, your name could be on it, but it doesn't. Does that make sense? Ruby, I don't know if
Oh,
you're
I
talking.
immediately see a silhouette of a home and a heart in the middle.
Yeah.
And within that heart could be a generic human being, just
Right.
one. It doesn't have to be mother, father, baby.
Yeah.
Just a generic human being. I see that immediately.
Right.
Um,
So in your mind, you started to conjure up kind of the idea of what she's doing, and some images came to mind for you, right? That's where the strategy kind of comes into, like, okay, This is what I want to convey. And then you get to the practical part of, okay, what's it look like in a logo or a business card or the website? Yeah. So that the conceptual part is stage strategy one. Phase two is, okay, what's that really look like practically? And then in phase three, like, how do we get these out? How do we share these with other people? How do we take this to the world, right? How do we take these to the customer? Because a box of business cards on your desk does you no good. You got to start handing those things out or getting those out in people's hands.
So you really have to work hard on the strategy part. The first part, you really have to figure out what you stand for, because if you don't, and what I'm finding out, I don't have it complete. So I choose one image, and then
right
down the road, couple weeks, a day, whatever, I'm ready to change it because one is not totally telling the story that I wanted to tell. So
right.
Yes. Deborah and I did a class the other day, and I tell you, the biggest challenge for me right now, gosh, is, who am I? Not who am I, but who is my target market?
Yep.
That's to me, that's the crux of it all.
Right.
I mean, and I'm trying to get through that. Who is it I'm trying to reach?
Right. Yeah. And it's not everybody. We can't reach everybody. So stop trying to be everything to everybody.
Right. And it's tough.
Yes, it is. It is. Right. Yep. Yeah, you guys are right on target. You're asking good questions and understanding how this works. But you see the sequence of it, how important it is, because you end up, like Ruby was saying, a lot of people do. They go down the path one way, I'll change this again. And that's confusing to people. It's like, wait a minute, I don't know.
And check this out, Kevin, this brainstorm I just had right now during this class, it would be nice to make a nice picture of a house, which is what I have been using. But at the same time, I want people to have the ability to redevelop their homes, you know, if that's what's going to have to happen. So I got to figure out a way to incorporate that too. So I'm changing now. And I think the thing is to get everything done so you don't have to ever change no more.
Right.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
You know
you can-
what? Use the word dream. DREAM.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
Thank
Do you
you.
think-
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, you think about these logos I showed you, right? These aren't evolving logos. These have been a long time. They've been done a long time. All right. And one more thing about logos, by the way, if you're making one, don't try to put so much in it, because if you ever go to the point when you like want to embroider it or put it on something else, it gets real expensive if you got a lot of colors, or if there's a lot of detail, it doesn't translate really well. That Nike logo and that Apple logo, that works really good on anything. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, it's going to go everywhere on everything. You can make a white version, a black version, but that's about it, right? If it's a dark background, you can reverse it out, but that's it. Even the font of Coca-Cola is a little thin at places, and that becomes problematic in some kind of imaging graphics at times. And I don't like all the colors in Google. It's too childish for me. I wish it was just one color, but that's my personal preference. Like that yellow gets washed out with the yellow background, a white background, I should say. Anyway, some logo. That's some of my graphical.
Kind of interesting how Google will change their logo on their web browser.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They try to have fun with it with the little search browser. Yeah. All right. But most of these companies have people really fighting to protect, to make sure these things don't get distorted or colored the wrong way. That always drives me crazy with companies I work with, where you can have an image and then somebody pastes it somewhere, copies and pastes it and stretches it, and it gets out of proportion. So like Coca-Cola gets really tall or really wide, and it's really skewed. Marketing office staff hate when you do that. They don't want you to do that to their logos. So make sure you don't distort your logo either. All right. So we went through those 3 phases. Yeah, question.
Yes, the issue of logo and trademarking the logo. I mean, far from that. I'm talking about another business that
Yeah.
I have jointly. The whole trademarking process. Can you speak to that? I mean, this is like, be sure this is what you really want, because that process really takes a while.
Yeah. I've, being a small business person, I've not gotten too much into trademarking or copywriting things. It's a lot of work. Like you said, you got to, pay for it and process all of that. And it's a lot of work. And then you have to have the way to defend it too. So if you got to catch somebody who's abusing it or using it to their advantage, you got to find it. I mean, as a small business, I don't know how I'm going to find it. I would much rather somebody come to me and want to buy my business because they like what I'm doing and say, yeah, I'll sell it to you. And some people do that with their trademarking. They think, I want to trademark this, so if somebody ever likes it and wants it, they'll honestly come to me and take it. But sadly, I don't think there's enough honest people out there that do that. I mean, there's some people that'll borrow it and steal it until they get caught, and really all they're going to get from your lawyer then is a cease and desist to begin with, and all they got to do is stop using it, and they're okay. They can go change it to something else. So I don't. For me, it's not been worth the effort.
I agree, Kevin. And you know what? I mean, I learned a long time ago in something else I was doing many moons ago, but after 10 years of using something, it's yours anyway. Did you know that?
No.
That's what my understanding is. If you've been using something, for 10 years, it's yours. It's your trademark.
I don't know the rule on that.
I could be wrong, but that's been my understanding for many moons.
Yeah.
you.
You probably run a bigger risk of stealing somebody else's idea unknowingly and them coming after you. That's your bigger risk, really, than somebody trying to come steal yours and you make any money off of that.
That's true. And that's why people don't do it as much anymore. I mean, I'm in agreement with you, Kevin.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not worth the effort. You have to
Right.
realize that in California, let's say in the food industry, California has been innovating, gyrating forever. And so somebody down in Texas may think, wow, I've got this new idea. They've already done it in California, probably.
Right. Yeah.
And so, you know what I'm saying? And it's a true thought. There is no original idea. There really isn't.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Right. It's, personal opinion, Michelle, personal approach on that. Yeah. I know we've got somebody that's working on some products and she's pending to trademark on those unique products. And I don't do products. I'm not a product guy really. So I understand on some products that you try to make unique, that's good so that you can get bought. I mean, that would be the reason to do it, is so that somebody who really, big company found interest in it and said, we really want to take this over and we'll just buy it from you. You're like, great. Okay. Yeah.
I would
Otherwise,
think
they
as a small business, if you're just doing business locally, if you get incorporated and get your name, nobody could use it. If you add your name on your logo some kind of way, nobody will want to use it. So, to me, there are ways you could kind of make sure your name stays your name without having to go through that trademark thing.
Right. Yeah, in every state, and we'll talk about this in another class, typically you register as a business, they're going to run it against a registry with other names of businesses in that state. And so they make it unique and you verify who you are and all of that. So there's a formal process of getting set up that way so that there's not the duplicity of same names in that by the per state. It's kind of at the state level, not the state countrywide.
Kevin,
Uh-huh.
my logo is trademarked, and
Good.
all you do is you send in a picture of it, and you clearly describe what the picture is, and you give them $50.
All right. And who'd you do that through the state? Is it a federal thing?
I think it's been so long. I think it was federal, but it was
Okay.
real simple. The main
Okay.
thing is to clearly describe what the trademark looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And it
so
has
with
to be-
Apple,
yeah, it's got to be unique from other people. It can't be the same as anybody else.
right? It has to be. They'll send it back. They'll send it back to you to let you know that it went through.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
If it did,
But
it did.
I'm a bass player, and so mine was just a bass shaped like an S, since my name is Sana, and it has Lux. So that's my trademark. So I had to describe.
Good.
It was real simple.
Yeah.
And also the patent was simple. It's the wording for trying to put it together is difficult and frustrating. But if you just look and see what it looks like, go pick up some other trademarks and see what they did, use some of the same words, because it makes you realize that they're looking for these same words over and over and over. And it's just tedious and kind of boring, but it's cheaper than paying somebody $10,000 or $20,000 to do it.
Right.
If you can read yourself, so.
Yeah. Right. Right. And you did that for a product, right? You're doing that on a product.
Yeah, for a product.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, good. Some of you have heard of Simon Sinek. He is he's written books and does a lot of public speaking and very entrepreneurial. This is one of his great quotes. He says, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody that needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe." And this really, I think, aligns back to that, your why. He calls it your why. He drew these circles in one of his TED Talks years ago, and it's become kind of famous. In the middle is why, and then how, and then what. And he says, what every organization on the planet knows what they do. These are products that they sell or the services they offer. That's the what, right? That's the mechanism, I call it, that you guys always do. And then the how, he says, some organizations know how they do it. These are the things that make them special or set them apart from their competition. So they have kind of this, they know what their unfair advantages, if you will, their how. But very few organizations know why they do what they do. Why is not about making money. This is a result. That is a result. It's a purpose, cause, or belief. It's the very reason your organization exists. And so you see the progression here. At the what, the outer ring, every organization knows that. At the second ring, some of organizations know that, but in the middle, very few organizations know why. And so knowing your why goes back to that strategy of, what's your why? Why are you, why are you doing what you're doing? What's that image that you want? What's the identity you want? What's the brand that you want? And that is born out of your why, I believe. So this is kind of, soul searching in a sense. I mean, some of you have very altruistic businesses that are serving other people in that way. Others of you have a passion for what you're doing, a cause or, a belief or purpose that drives it. And it's unique to you. And it's very powerful to know what that is, because out of that flows your how and your why more purposefully, I think. So knowing your why, that's a good thing here. And like he said, it's not just about making money. You don't do it just to make money. That becomes the result. That's the byproduct of it. Because when somebody's just trying to hustle you for money, it's not real fun to buy from them. But if you really feel like they believe what they're doing, then you're more likely to work with them. All right. So basically, simplify it down, as I like to do. Clarify your why, set your target audience, know what that is. We talked about that. Write out your brand story. Your brand story is kind of that phase one where you kind of put together your strategy and your brand story. Like who do you want your brand to be? What is that supposed to be? Have the end in mind. Then you can create your logo, your taglines, your identity, and then you can go out and market, take it to the world, put it out there in that sense. So it's that kind of process there.